You want revenge. That's the honest truth. Someone hurt you, humiliated you, betrayed you, and every part of you wants them to feel it. But here is what nobody tells you. Revenge hands them exactly what they wanted. Your reaction, your energy. Proof that they still matter. The most devastating thing you can do to someone who tried to break you is this. Move on as if they never existed. No dramatic exit, no final message, no subtle digs designed to show them you're doing fine. Just absence. Total, complete, indifferent absence. That is not weakness. That is the most precise weapon you will ever hold. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years before modern psychology caught up. Epictetus wrote that it is not what happens to you, but how you respond, that defines you. And the response that destroys a manipulator most completely is not anger. It is not confrontation. It is the response that says without a single word, "You never had control over me." Before we continue, this is where most people quit. If you're still here, you're different. Subscribe to this channel, not for motivation, but for mental tools you can actually use. In a world of noise, we offer direction. In a world of distraction, we build discipline. Hit that subscribe button now. Let's continue. 1. Indifference hits harder than any insult. They wanted a reaction. They engineered the situation specifically to produce one. They wanted to see you explode, collapse, beg, or chase. Any of those responses would have told them the same thing. You still have power over me. When you refuse to provide that reaction, when you go quiet and move forward without explanation, you send a message they cannot argue with. You are not worth my nervous system. That lands like nothing else, because you become a mirror reflecting their own failure back at them. They struck, nothing happened, and that nothing is everything. 2. They attacked you because they needed to feel significant. Understand the psychology underneath every emotional attack. Nobody who is genuinely secure tears other people down. The person who hurt you needed to matter to you. They needed to be the center of something, even if that something was your pain. When you move on without demanding justice, without explaining yourself, without giving them the dignity of a response, they feel the void open up beneath them. They wanted to be the villain in your story. What they get instead is a deleted character. And that silence is heavier than any argument you could have won. 3. Your disappearance is a declaration of war they cannot fight. Someone betrays you. Someone humiliates you in front of others. Someone dismantles what you built. And you simply vanish. No justification, no final conversation, no trace. The person who wanted a battlefield finds nothing. No enemy, no audience, no war. Just empty space where you used to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the finest revenge is simply to be nothing like the one who caused the harm. You don't need to prove you're above it. You just need to be gone. Your peace is the strike. Your absence is the wound that never closes. 4. Your success is the punishment they cannot escape. They predicted your downfall. They may have even celebrated it privately. But you don't fall. You build. You grow. You move with more clarity and more purpose than before they ever touched your life. And every victory you accumulate without mentioning their name delivers the same verdict. You failed to destroy me. There is nothing more corrosive to an ego than watching the person it tried to tear down rise in silence. Not with speeches, not with public comebacks, just with the quiet, relentless accumulation of a life well built. That is the punishment that has no defense. 5. Contempt is the weapon they have no answer for. Anger is still a connection. Hate is still acknowledgement. But contempt, true contempt, is total erasure. It is when you treat someone as if they were never part of your story at all. Not a villain, not a lesson, not even a memory worth maintaining. Just a person who passed through and left no mark. A manipulator does not fear your hatred, they fear your forgetting. Because hatred means they still live in your mind. Forgetting means they are finished. Epictetus said that you do not defeat darkness by screaming at it. You defeat it by removing it from your attention entirely. That is what contempt does. It removes them permanently. 6. Self-mastery in front of the person who expected your collapse is the most violent act you can commit. They are waiting for the breakdown. They expect the defensive explanation, the visible pain, the crack in your composure. When you respond instead with stillness, with a flat and unreadable calm, the dynamic shifts completely. You are no longer the target. You are the observer. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not over external events. And that power, exercised visibly in front of the person who tried to take it from you, is more devastating than any insult you could deliver, because it proves the thing they most feared. They never had you. Not really. Not where it counts. 7. Walking away without explanation is the one move they cannot counter. If you argue, they can defend. If you fight, there is still contact. But if you simply leave, cleanly, without drama, without a closing statement, you take every tool out of their hands. There is nothing to respond to, nothing to win against. Seneca warned that arguing with certain people is a trap for your own dignity. Every word you spend justifying yourself is a word that confirms they matter enough to justify yourself too. When you disappear with class, that person is left alone in a room with their own decision, and the silence of that room becomes their prison. They built it. They will live in it. Without you. Time does not forget what you choose to ignore. At first, they may mistake your silence for defeat. They may perform victory to anyone willing to watch. They may tell their version of events to mutual connections. They may wait for you to crack publicly. But time is patient, and time is always on the side of the person who stopped caring first. As the days accumulate and you do not react, do not return, do not mention them, something begins to corrode in them slowly. Annoyance becomes doubt, doubt becomes guilt. Guilt becomes the kind of regret that arrives at 3 in the morning when there is no audience left to perform for. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, if you wait long enough, the river carries everything past. You do not have to act. You do not have to respond. Your absence is already working. Here is the final truth. The person who tried to hurt you expected chaos. They expected to remain important in your story. What they receive instead is something far worse than your anger. The absolute certainty that they never mattered enough to destroy you. A person of genuine strength does not shout, does not chase, does not perform recovery for an audience. They simply stop looking back. And in that turning away, they reduce the one who tried to break them to exactly what that person was always afraid of being: irrelevant. Write "gone" in the comments right now if you've already made this decision. One word. That's the commitment. Subscribe to Silent Forge. Not for applause, for the work.